Russian state media has released rare footage showing Paul Whelan inside a notorious prison camp, providing really the first publicly available video images of the imprisoned American in more than 3 years. The segment, aired by Russia Today, a state-funded propaganda outlet, appears to show Whelan sewing and also shows security camera footage of Whelan meeting with diplomats through a glass window. Whelan was arrested in 2018 and charged with espionage, allegations that he and the U.S. say are completely fabricated. Joining us now is David Whelan, Paul's brother. David, it's always good to see you. Thanks for joining us on the show. We don't know exactly when this video was taken. It's obviously really hard to tell, but what was your original reaction when you saw the video? And I'm curious, how authentic do you think it is?
Oh, I think it's 100% authentic. We knew that Paul had been coerced into having an interview, and he had declined the opportunity, but the prison officials had kept trying to get him to agree to do it, and he had declined. And so we knew that the the Russia Today camera crew had come out and tried to interview him, and that he had rejected it. But we'd never seen any footage or anything else come of the story.
It still must have been good to see him. Paul communicates with your parents. Has he said anything to them about his experience with RT TV?
Yeah, he let us know that they had coerced him, and then after they had left, the prison officials were obviously angry that he had not played ball, and so they retaliated against Paul. They damaged a number of his personal possessions. They stole a number of items from his personal property. So we ended up having to contact the Mordovia prosecutor and the prison monitoring commission there to have them go and to look into this case of retaliation.
Do you know if he's seen the video himself?
I don't know yet. It seems to have been developed for an English audience. I wouldn't even call him a journalist. The person on the video is speaking in English, so I think it was probably for a Western audience.
During today's White House briefing, you and Paul were actually brought up. Let's take a listen.
So U.S. officials have spoken with Paul within the last several months. I think, as you all know that, but it was reassuring to see that he remains, and this is to use his brother's words, unbowed. Paul continues to show tremendous courage. That does not change that his circumstances are truly unacceptable, and we will continue to be very clear about that. Russia should release him immediately, and that is something that, again, we have been very consistent about.
Yeah, and you've been consistent about that as well. So far, the Russians have not responded favorably to the offer from the U.S. that was on the table. Do you think a one-for-one trade is the wisest move here? You support that?
Well, I think that that's what the Russian government is going to want. They don't do things out of parity, I don't think. So I think right now the only circumstance that I can imagine is that the U.S. is able to concede something that is equivalent to a person to the Russian government, and maybe that's a Russian agent, or maybe it is something else. But I think until they're able to come up with that concession, Paul will unfortunately remain in Mordovia.
You know, most American families, as you know this, can't really understand what your family has been going through. When you see footage like this and you know your brother chose not to talk with the Russian propaganda crew who came out to talk with him, and then there's retaliation. I mean, every time something like this happens, it has to be more difficult for you and your family. So how do you deal with a day like today, seeing this video, and how do you remain hopeful?
Well, ironically, I think that the heavy-handedness of this propaganda, I mean, it's just so laughable. The way they put together the story actually makes me feel better about Paul. He seems to look healthy. When he stares down the camera at the end of the video, you can see his strength and I think his contempt for the Russian propagandists. So that makes me feel better, because we hear from him pretty much on a daily basis when he's able to call our parents. But you never know exactly whether someone is telling you how they actually are. And I think seeing him has helped all of us realize that he's resilient, and we need to keep helping him so that he comes home.
Yeah, resilient and brave. David Whelan, thanks so much for always coming on the show. We do appreciate it, and of course, our best to your entire family.
Thanks so much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.